Round brilliant. In 1919, a Belgian mathematician named Marcel Tolkowski sat down and calculated exactly how a diamond should be cut. Not artistically, mathematically. He published a book called Diamond Design, essentially an engineering thesis, and arrived at a specific set of proportions, 58 facets, distributed at precise angles between the crown and the pavilion, designed to maximize the return of light to the eye. Not candlelight. Electric light. The round brilliant was built for light bulbs, not chandeliers. Before Tolkowski, the dominant cut was the old European, rounder on top, deeper below, with a larger open culet at the base. Beautiful in gaslit rooms. Designed for a world that no longer existed by 1919. The round brilliant replaced it so completely that today it accounts for roughly 75% of all diamonds sold worldwide. Most people assume it's ancient. It's barely 100 years old. Here's what that means. When someone calls a round diamond timeless and classic, what they're actually describing is an algorithm, a formula developed by one man in 1 year to solve one specific optical problem. The most romantic cut in the world is a piece of applied mathematics, and it works perfectly.
Princess cut? The name sounds like centuries of aristocratic tradition. It isn't. In the 1960s, a Hungarian lapidary named Arpad Nagy developed a square cut called the profile cut, a practical attempt to solve a very specific problem. When you cut a round brilliant from a rough diamond, you lose significant weight in the process. The corners become dust. A square shape preserves more of the original stone. In 1979, Bezalel Ambar and Israel Itzkowitz refined the concept into what became the modern princess cut. A square modified brilliant with dozens of facets that combined the clean geometry of step cuts with the explosive light return of a brilliant. Visually luxurious, structurally efficient, more carats preserved per rough stone. The marketing team named it Princess. The lapidaries named it a solution to a cost problem. That gap between the romantic name and the industrial logic is the entire story of the princess cut. One of the most popular engagement ring shapes in the world was invented less than 50 years ago to make diamond cutting more economical. The language of luxury almost always covers the mathematics underneath it. The princess cut is just more honest about it, if you know where to look.
The emerald cut was not created for diamonds. In the 16th century, lapidaries, working with emeralds, a stone far more brittle and inclusion-prone than diamond, developed a specific approach to protect the gem during polishing. Rectangular facets arranged in steps with truncated corners to reduce pressure points and the risk of fracture. It was engineering for a fragile material. The technique worked so well that it eventually migrated to diamonds. And in the 1920s and 1930s, during the peak of Art Deco, houses like Cartier and Van Cleef & Arpels adopted it as the architectural signature of a new aesthetic. Straight lines, geometric symmetry, light behaving like a grid rather than an explosion. But the emerald cut has a quality that no other cut shares. It hides nothing. The large, open facets, what jewelers call windows, function as a transparency exam. Every inclusion is visible. Every hint of color shows. Choosing a clean emerald cut means paying in practice for a stone with nowhere to hide its flaws. That's the invisible status signal. The emerald cut doesn't perform. It reveals. And choosing one means you have nothing to conceal.
Cushion cut. That appears in luxury showcases today is the descendant of something much older. A cut born in candlelit salons, colonial trade ships, and diamond mines in Brazil and India. Its direct ancestor is the old mine cut, dominant from the 1700s through the late 1800s. Diamonds shaped by hand, with high crowns, small taples, and a large open base, proportioned to catch and scatter candlelight in ways that electric light renders unnecessary. Every old mine cut was slightly different because every lapidary was working by eye, by hand, without industrial precision. As cutting technology advanced through the 20th century, that rounded square format was gradually refined into the modern cushion. More precise symmetry, more consistent facet patterns, better light performance under contemporary lighting conditions. The nostalgic shape updated for the present. What almost no one discusses is the timeline. For more than 200 years, something in the cushion family was the dominant cut of its era. The round brilliant displaced it, but the cushion never disappeared. It absorbed the new technology and kept the memory of candlelight inside it. A modern cushion cut in a luxury setting carries something no round brilliant does, the texture of a world that no longer exists, calibrated for one that does.
Pear Cut. The Pear Cut looks intuitive, half round, half point, shaped like a drop of water. But the shape only became possible after a small technological revolution in a Flemish workshop in 1475. A polisher named Lodewijk van Berken invented the scaife, a polishing wheel with a level of symmetrical precision that didn't exist before. For the first time, lapidaries could produce elongated, asymmetrical shapes with reliable consistency across both sides. The Pear Cut emerged from that moment. Roughly 58 facets in modern versions, combining the optical logic of the round with a pointed end that creates visual movement. For centuries, it appeared in aristocratic jewelry, pendants, earrings, royal collections. In the 20th century, it migrated to engagement rings and red carpet pieces, where its specific geometry does something unique. It elongates the finger visually and creates the impression that the stone is in motion, almost fluid, slightly in the act of falling. The Pear Cut is one of the oldest shaped cuts still in mainstream use, and it exists entirely because of one wheel invented in 15th century Belgium. Without von Berken's scaife, there is no symmetry. Without symmetry, there is no teardrop. The technology came first. The emotion followed.
Asscher Cut. In 1902, in Amsterdam, Joseph Asscher created a square step-cut diamond with 58 facets and deeply truncated corners, and filed the first patent ever granted for a diamond cut. The effect it produced was unlike anything before it, concentric squares receding toward the center of the stone, like an infinite corridor of mirrors. Art Deco designers immediately understood what they had. Houses across Europe adopted it as the geometric signature of a new era. The Asscher family became the most trusted name in elite lapidary. In 1908, they were given the task of cleaving the Cullinan, the largest rough diamond ever found, at 3,106 carats. Joseph Asscher II studied the stone for months before making the first cut. The blade shattered on the first strike. On the second, the stone split perfectly. Then the war came. The Asscher family was Jewish. Most of the workshop's craftsmen did not survive the occupation of the Netherlands. The patent had expired. The name nearly disappeared entirely. Decades later, the family rebuilt.
Radiant cut. In 1977, a master lapidary named Henry Grossbard had a specific problem he wanted to solve. The emerald cut was elegant but produced relatively modest brilliance. Its large, flat facets reflected light in broad, calm planes, rather than fracturing it into fire. The round brilliant was explosive, but round. Grossbard wanted the rectangular silhouette of the emerald with the optical performance of the brilliant. He spent years developing what he called the radiant cut, between 66 and 70 facets, truncated corners, a facet pattern borrowed from brilliant cut geometry applied to a rectangular shape. He founded the Radiant Cut Diamond Company to produce and promote it. The result was a stone that, unlike the emerald cut, activated in every lighting condition, sending light in multiple directions simultaneously. The radiant has appeared on the fingers of celebrities, in the collections of major houses, in engagement rings photographed millions of times, and almost nobody outside the world of collectors can name it. That's the paradox of the Radiant Cut. Extraordinary visual performance, almost complete anonymity of identity. People love it without knowing what it is. That's either a failure of marketing or the purest possible form of success.
Ashoka. Above every cut in this video, above the classics, above the hybrids, above the patents, there is a layer that almost no content ever reaches. It begins with a single diamond, 41 carats, D-flawless, found in ancient Indian mines with a long, curved rectangular shape unlike anything in standard lapidary catalogs.
New York jeweler William Goldberg acquired it in the late 1990s and became fascinated by the proportions. The way the elongated, gently curved silhouette made the stone appear dramatically larger than its actual weight suggested. He named it after the Emperor Ashoka, the Mauryan ruler who conquered half of India through devastating warfare, then renounced violence entirely after witnessing the scale of destruction he had caused. A stone named after transformation. Goldberg developed a proprietary cut inspired by that shape, rectangular, elongated, with softly curved sides, 62 facets, engineered to appear up to 30% larger than an emerald cut of equivalent weight. In 1999, the design was patented and trademarked. The Ashoka became a cut that is simultaneously a lapidation and a registered brand. Less than 1% of rough diamonds analyzed have the proportions required to become one. Round brilliant, princess, emerald, cushion, pear, Asscher, radiant. And then, above all of them, a cut so controlled that only one house can produce it, named after a king who chose